Thank you, Tricia. And as you can see, my topic is immense, and I have 12 minutes. So I'm not going to spend time on financial conflicts, but I am going to spend quite a bit of time talking about Daniel Kahneman's work in experimental psychology. He died earlier this year, but a giant in the field. Many of you may know him from his book, Thinking Fast and Slow. And if there is one thing you take away from my talk today, buy the book. Read it slowly. It will completely change your idea about how we achieve patient safety and what interventions are pretty much useless. So Daniel Kahneman won the Nobel Prize in economics, of all things, for the work that he did with Amos Tversky, an academic colleague, and they just sat around asking each other questions. And one of the biggest questions they asked was around this area of bounded rationality. And the question was, why do people make stupid decisions? For example, a ball and a bat together cost $1.10. The bat costs $1 more than the ball. How much does the ball cost? And in all of your minds, the first thing that comes to mind is 10 cents. And it's wrong. And so this is the sort of thing, it's 5 cents. This is the sort of thing that Daniel and Amos worked on for a period of about 10 years. And one of their first papers was Judgment Under Uncertainty. So when things are not really obvious, we tend to make erroneous decisions. And that's because we rely on some heuristics, some shortcuts to reduce the complexity of what we're being asked to do. And these heuristics allow our brains to think very, very fast, but it also leads to some severe and systematic errors. So I think we know Thinking Fast and Slow, Drs. Kahneman and Tversky did not come up with that concept, but they really explored how the two interact. Fast thinking is what we do. We drive to work. We put a patient to sleep. We compound medications. We do it effortlessly. It's a routine we're in, and we love being in system one thinking. Our system one is continually running in the background, assessing our situation, taking all the information in, and fitting those perceptions into a mental model that makes sense. System two is slow, it's conscious, it is the rational mind, but it requires a lot of effort. For example, you cannot do this with system one, but 17 times 24. That's going to require some effort. You'll get there, but it will require effort. But we can perhaps use system two to supervise system one, but it cannot change it. How many of you know this diagram? Yeah. So system two tells us the correct answer is the horizontal lines are of equal length. System one cannot see it. Oh, yeah, sure. We see it. No, we don't. Our system one overrides the actual information that's coming in and puts it into something that's more coherent. So just very, very briefly, some of the shortcuts we take, the availability heuristic. What is the mental model like this, like my perceptions, that I use the most often? Or it's the one I saw most recently, or maybe a powerful emotion is associated with that mental model. But there's also a confirmation bias. System one loves coherence. And it will, if the perceptions don't quite fit into that mental model, it will change the perceptions. And it distorts, it autocorrects. If you're shown a schematic, of a bedroom, 2 beds, a bedside table, a little alarm clock on the table, and I flash it up. Everybody recognizes it's a bedroom. When I ask you, what's the time on the clock? People will give you an answer, usually 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, whatever time their alarm goes off. There are no hands on the clock. System 1 fills in the gaps, often with wrong information. All of us know about this one. And I want to ask our pharmacists and everybody here, stop asking us to read the label. System 1 will correct what you are reading if it doesn't fit the mental model. You're preparing for a spinal anesthetic, you pick up the vial, and it says tranexamic acid. System 1 says, no, that doesn't fit my mental model, it must say bupivacaine. And so when things look alike, it's easier for System 1 to do that override. And these are the examples from the literature of bupivacaine and tranexamic acid. The vials actually are a little bit easier than the ampules, but you cannot fight System 1. And part of the reason you can't, using System 2 requires effort. There are limited reserves of effort, and there's a ton of competition for those reserves. I asked you before, what's 17 times 24? Now, I'll put you on that little trail in Prospect Park out in Waltham, and we're walking up that last bit, coming up to the overlook. You're looking where your feet are because there's steps and it's stony and it's uneven. Now I say, tell me what's 17 times 24. You will stop walking. You cannot do 2 effortful things at the same time. And there aren't separate reserves for emotion versus physical. That's all one. That's why you stop walking. So if I have spent the morning resisting the urge to snap back at my snippy surgeon, I may not have the effort reserve to carefully read the label. Effort does not work. And we've said this again and again and again, try harder is the weakest thing we can tell somebody, even re-educating them. Every anesthesiologist knows you do not put tranexamic acid into the CSF. Education does not help. We need forcing functions. We need pin indexing. We need our small bore, unique small bore connectors. We need tranexamic acid to come in a mini bag, not in a syringe, not in an ampule. And we need our bupivacaine to come in a syringe that's a Nerfit, right? The one that can only attach to the Nerfit spinal needle. We need those forcing functions. Many of you in this group figured out with the first Stoelting conference what we needed to do. We know what we need to do, but we are not doing it. mHealth Fairview does not have barcode readers for medication administration. And I that last year fought so hard to get pre-filled, pre-mixed. We just say, we don't have the time, we don't have the money for it. Yes, we do. If we can buy robots, we can get $15,000 barcode readers. So call to action, and clearly that's what tomorrow's going to be about. But if APSF, instead of just telling us what to do, can we get a sophisticated marketing group together and put together the arguments, the rationale that we can take to our finance group to justify buying our barcode administration our devices. And ISMP, thank you so much, Rita, for making barcode administration in the operating room a national goal, I think 2 years ago, but now we need some teeth. And perhaps more than anything else, every one of us here, every leader in patient safety needs to recognize that system one is the elephant. System two, effort, is a tiny little rider on the elephant. Just exhorting the elephant to go in the right direction is not going to work. We need better actions. We know what those actions are. Let's just do it. Thank you.